This is looking down Beacon Lane, of course. This gate was only put up last year. Presumably it's to deter cars. This is the where the Caravan is, just off Beacon Lane. This is a little bit further down Beacon Lane. You can see where it finishes just up there. You probably see the sea. There we are.
This is where there used to be a small farmhouse until the early 80s. When we knew Spurn it was empty. I'm not quite sure when it was last occupied. You can see there the bank of clay that the caravan site people deposited. When it's full it has water crow's foot.
This is a pond off Beacon Lane. This is where Beacon Lane runs out of land.
This is Beacon Lane, and so much of it now has gone. At one time it used to run quite well into this area. It wasn't actually the road to Easington. The road to Easington was much further over to the east. You can see the bank which forms the boundary, parish boundary between Easington and Kilnsea, and you can see the concrete sound mirror that was put up in the First World War to catch the sound of Zeppelin. And this is where all the open fields of Cottingham and Kilnsea and the strips used to be. A little further over you can still see evidence of where the strips were, but here it's just been ploughed out completely.
Looking southeast to where old Kilnsea used to be. Concrete anti-tank blocks on the beach still. This is Kilnsea Cliff.
At one time you could look from here and see lots of caravans on top of that cliff, but they've all been moved off now. There's only one remaining, that green one. This is the edge of the Beacon Ponds Reserve, which was bought up by the South Holderness Countryside Society and made into a reserve quite recently. And unfortunately, it was inundated by the sea during the winter, and a lot of the banks were either swept away or damaged. Paths were made here, and those paths were damaged, and really the beach keeps on getting closer and closer to the middle of the reserve. It's called Beacon Ponds after Beacon Lane, and Beacon Lane's called Beacon Lane because this was an area from the Beacon Ponds Nature Reserve was called after Beacon Lane, and Beacon Lane is so called because this was an area where since the late 16th century there have been beacons, right into the 19th century in fact. Until quite recently this was an area covered in reeds and sea aster, but since the sea came in it's changed dramatically. You can still just about detect the ridge and furrow with the eye of faith. At one time you could see the ridge and furrow very well, and this is where you can see the ridge and furrow extremely well.
If you want to.
Well, I think most people would. See, if you move along that way, you can still see the lines of it.
View from the new Beacon Ponds Hide, the one that was built last year by the South Holderness Countryside Society and the Heritage Coast Project. Quite an extensive area of water now. Large number of sandwich terns on the little island there. You can probably hear them.
This area is enclosed by a long bank. It's called the Long. Okay. You can see Easington BP gas terminal, established in the 70s, I think. Easington itself is only just getting gas, and it was told that it wasn't going to get gas and it wasn't possible, feasible to put gas into Easington despite the proximity of the gas terminal. You can see Easington Church from here, and then the long bank which forms the parish boundary. You're getting the Turnspit.
This is Nick Bill just coming up to the hide here. Beacon Lane, looking south towards the Caravan site and the Bluebell. It is again Beacon Lane looking south. This is our caravan.
We've had it since 1986.